I do have one question.
Yes,
Is anyone reading the stage directions or are we just going straight through the lines?
we do have somebody to read that part. Yeah, so we can kind of have in our mind the scene that's set. So Jared's gonna be reading that part.
Are we
So
doing
Jared, whenever
action or
you're
just
ready.
go? Okay. All right. Interior, Adam's house, kitchen, night. Dr. Shep, Dr. Shepard Adams enters and finds Chrissy Adams there.
I never expected you back at 9:05. I figured y'all be drinking all night. Well, how was supper? Did you find anything out about Avery?
Can we talk about it later? I'm just not in the mood. I want to relax.
Fine.
Dr. Adams walks off toward the living room. Interior, Adams' house, living room at night. Dr. Adams sits comfortably in the living room reading. The house phone rings and Dr. Adams looks at his cell phone. It says 9:55. Christine walks in and answers the phone.
Hello. Yeah, just a moment.
She signals Dr. Adams to get the phone. He grabs it.
Hello? What? What? I'll be right over.
Dr. Adams runs around and grabs his big medical bag.
That was John Goodwin from Pan's Manor. They found Robert Eskridge dead.
He runs out of the house. Interior, Pan's Manor at night. Dr. Adams knocks on the door for a little while. Then finally, John Goodwin opens the door and Dr. Adams pushes past him.
Where is he?
Where is who?
You know who? Have you called the police?
Why would I call the police? What are you talking about?
They both look at each other, very confused.
Not 10 minutes ago, you called me and said Mr. Eskridge has been murdered. And now you're acting like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, that's because I absolutely, that's because I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I haven't called you or anyone tonight.
Are you telling me this has been a prank and that Robert's not really dead?
Well, I certainly hope so. Maybe you're thinking about death from this morning. Well, did the caller say what exactly?
I couldn't make everything out, but I thought they said Mr. Eskridge is dead.
Well, it wasn't me.
Where is he?
I assume still in the study.
This has me very uneasy. I'd like to at least go check on him.
I agree. Let's go.
They head to the studio door. Dr. Adams knocks on the door and tries to open it, but it's locked. They look at each other, alarmed.
Mr. Eskridge. Mr. Eskridge. Robert, I'm coming in.
They break in the door. Fade to black, fade in. Exterior, Mrs. Meek's house, night at dawn. Ambulance and police care have their lights on, and a few first responders are standing outside. Do I do the super part?
It doesn't matter. You can skip them.
Okay, super. One day earlier, Dr. Shepard Adams walks to the front of the house and pauses. Then he takes a deep breath and goes inside.
Maybe I did hear wrong. Maybe I did have death on my brain. I mean, it was just this morning when I got the call about Miss Meeks.
Interior, Miss Meek's house, continuous. First responders move around the house and Dr. Adams examines the body of Miss Meek and signals that she is gone.
By that time, there was nothing that could be done. She'd already been dead for a couple of hours. I stuck around for a minute and then headed home. It was an easy walk from her place to mine, so I got to take in a lot of the fresh air and relaxing ambience of Arcadia Village.
Dr. Adams stands up, looking grim. Exterior, Dr. Adams' house, dawn. Dr. Adams walks up the stairs to his house, unlocks the door, and walks inside.
Is that you, Shepard?
Dr. Adams rolls his eyes.
Yes, Christy, it's me.
Dr. Adams piddles around the foyer, hanging up the coat, dropping his keys, checking his phone.
Well, come on in the kitchen. I made some breakfast.
Interior, Adams' house, kitchen, morning. Dr. Adams walks in and sits down and starts eating. Dr. Adams and Christine keep looking at each other, waiting for the other to say something.
Joe, you had to go out early this morning.
Yes, I did. I had to go up to Miss Meek's house.
Yes, I know.
How did you know?
Jenny told me.
Do you know every house's staff in the village? You know, you shouldn't be proud of all the gossip you always obtain. Most of the time, it's completely false.
Christine
Well-
shrugs her shoulders.
Well,
Miss Meek had been dead for hours. There was nothing I could do.
yeah, I know.
How could you know? I didn't know. Jenny was off today, so she couldn't have known either.
Yeah, Jenny didn't really tell me. Hank, the cook, was talking to his friend who's a cop, and he told me.
Well, how did she die? Heart failure? What'd the cook tell you?
Oh, they didn't know. I was hoping you could tell me.
Dr. Adams eats his food and drinks his coffee, all while just looking at Christine.
Well, everybody will know soon enough, so I'll just tell you. She died from an overdose of luminol. She'd been taking them lately to help her with her insomnia. She must have accidentally taken too much.
Oh, you know just as much as I do that she did it on purpose.
There you go again, jumping to conclusions with no rhyme or reason. That's all the rumors in this village get started. Why on earth would Miss Meek commit suicide?
Even you must have noticed how differently she's looked lately. It's been that way for the last 6 months since her husband passed away. And you admitted that she hasn't been sleeping.
And so, what is your diagnosis? An unfortunate love affair?
Remorse.
Remorse?
Yeah, you would never believe me when I told you that she poisoned her husband. Now, I'm even more certain that she did it. And ever since, she's been haunted by what she did. I feel sorry for her.
Don't you go around the village spreading your fabricated claims. Everyone will think I gave you medical information to back your stories up.
Dr. Shepard gets his plate and takes it to the sink like he has done with this conversation.
I'll bet you 10 to 1 odds there will be a letter confessing everything.
Oh, she did not leave a letter of any kind.
So you inquired about a letter as well? See, Shepard, I bet you have the same feeling as me. So are you going to investigate further?
Thank you for breakfast, dear sister.
Exterior day, Arcadia Village Lake Day. Dr. Shepard Adams takes a run around the lake and gets passed by Robert Eskridge on his boat. Robert pulls up to him.
Adams, just the man I needed to see. This is just plain terrible.
So I guess you've heard the news.
Yes. Unfortunately, I have heard about Miss Meeks, and I still can't believe it. Anyway, could you come and visit with me for a little while back at my house?
Unfortunately, I can't. I have a couple of patients coming in this morning, but I could come this afternoon.
Robert obviously wants to say something, but doesn't.
What's wrong? Is it Avery?
No. It's not Avery. He's been in Oxford the last couple of months. Why don't you come by this afternoon? Better yet, come by at 7 for dinner.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Robert pulls out a cigar and his cigar knife.
I would offer you a cigar, but it doesn't seem like the perfect time.
No, thank you. But I must say that is an impressive cigar knife.
It's 4 kings worth of impressiveness. I will have to tell you that story one day. See you later.
They wave and leave. Dr. Adams runs back to his house. Interior, Dr. Shepard Adams examine room day. Dr. Adams is finishing up his check on Mrs. Commonwealth.
Well, Mrs. Commonwealth, it seems to me you are perfectly fine.
Thank goodness. After Mrs. Meeks, I've become a bit paranoid, you know. Life is so fragile.
Yeah, that's true. But no need to worry for now. You have a good day.
Thank you, dear.
She leaves. Dr. Adams cleans up the room and presses his intercom button.
You can send the next patient in.
Miss Alanis Bell walks in, her heels clacking on the floor.
Morning, Dr. Adams.
Dr. Adams turns, surprised to see her, but pleasantly so.
Good morning, Miss Bell. Let me put these things away. So what brings you here today?
I need you to take a look at something for me.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Tell me about it.
I just have this
Miss Bell.
constant
Go
pain
ahead.
here in my knee. I don't know what has happened. Maybe just going up and down the stairs constantly at Robert's. I mean, Mr. Eskridge. As a woman my age, it takes a toll on me.
Come on now, Miss Bell. You don't look a day over 30. But we all have pains every now and then. I can give you something to help with the pain.
Thank you for that, Dr. Adams. But I doubt I will take any of it. I don't like taking any kind of drug, legal or not. Drugs do a lot of harm. People can get addicted so easily.
Yeah, in some cases, maybe, but what I'm giving you is non-habit forming. You shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Tell me this, doctor. Suppose someone really is a slave of the drug habit. What are the odds that they can be completely cured, and how? Let's say cocaine, for example.
Well, different people act and react in different ways. Some people can kick the habit, and it's tough for others.
Well, let me ask you another question. Is it true that there are rare poisons that are practically undetectable?
Miss Bell, you must be listening to too many true crime podcasts or watching too many crime documentaries.
Yes, Robert has gotten us all into listening to those podcasts.
He's also gotten me into them. And you must be looking for that rare poison from Africa that's undetectable, the perfect murder weapon.
Is there such a thing?
No, there is not.
Well, doctor, it was so good to talk to you. Thank you for looking at my knee. I need to get back to the manor. There's no telling what those maids are up there doing without me.
Miss Bell walks out as Dr. Adams watches her walk away. A young man in the waiting room also stares at Miss Bell. Miss Bell turns and catches Dr. Adams staring at her. Dr. Adams embarrassedly turns away. Interior Dr. Shepard Adams lobby day. Dr. Adams walks out of the office, stretches. Christina is organizing some documents.
Well, I am heading up to Mr. Eskridge's house tonight, so I won't be home for dinner. Sorry.
That's great. Maybe you could find out about the trouble with Avery.
What about Avery? There's no trouble.
Then why is he staying at the Noble Elixir? At the villas behind the Noble Elixir.
I did not know he was. Robert said he's been in Oxford for the last couple of months.
Interesting. He checked in a couple of nights ago and he's still there. Last night, he was out with a girl.
Well, that's nothing new. He's always out with girls. So which waitress this time?
That's just it. He went out to meet her and I don't know who she is.
I bet that was hard to admit that you don't know something.
But I have a pretty good guess who it was.
Dr. Adams waits patiently.
His cousin.
Savannah Eckridge?
Yeah. They're not really cousins because Avery is not really Robert's son.
Well, if that's the case, why not just go to Pan's Manor to see her?
Because they're secretly engaged.
Does all of y'all's gossip revolve around secret engagements?
What do you mean?
Nothing. Never mind.
So Mr. Eskridge will not allow it. So they have to meet in private.
And how do you know he met a woman last night?
Dr. Adams goes to the window and looks out at Beauregard walking down the street.
Because I saw them.
Oh, did you? Did you now? Oh, well, there's that new neighbor. What's the gossip about him?
None really, just that he's a guest of Robert's. He must be planning on staying a while since he gave him one of the houses instead of letting him stay at Pan's Manor.
It must burn you up that the whole intelligence committee could not come up with that information.
Well, he's the most intelligent man ever. I went over to see if I could help him with anything, and he pleasantly declined and told me about the flowers. Anytime I asked a question, he would tell me another interesting fact or just compliment me. I couldn't get anything out of him.
Dr. Adams walks out the door. Exterior Beauregard home, garden, day. Dr. Adams walks up to Beauregard.
Well, hello there.
Ah, hello to you. Judging by that overcoat and that sign back there, you must be Dr. Shepard Adams.
And judging by you have manicured these flower beds, you must be going to be my new neighbor for a while.
That is certainly a good assumption. So, you like what I did with the garden?
Yes, I do. It looks great. I'll let you come fix mine as well.
Well, Dr. Shepard Adams, I would be delighted to help.
Well, you know who I am, but who might...
Oh, come over here and look at this.
Beauregard cut.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, good.
Come over here and look at this. I just planted this last week, and I'm super excited about it. This is climbing roses, and over here are my hibiscuses. Forgive me, where are my manners? Sometimes I get so absent-minded, I forget the simplest things. My name is Beauregard.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Beauregard.
Now, please, just call me Beauregard.
Okay, Beauregard. You can call me Shepard.
Well, Dr. Adams, I feel a man who has worked as hard as you to earn that title of doctor, that I should call you Dr. Adams.
You really don't.
Dr. Adams, I insist.
So, what brings you to Arcadia Village?
Well, I have done a lot in my life, but I always wanted to travel. So anytime I get an opportunity to travel, I take it. You see, I used to have an assistant that would always talk about a man-made paradise. He told me of a man who worked his way from the lowly assistant to the CEO of a company and who had built this place himself.
Well, you are definitely referring to Robert Eckridge.
Yes, I am. And I know his son, or stepson. I get confused.
Technically, it's his stepson, but he's raised him since both of his parents passed away. Avery's one of my best friends around here when he's in town. But unfortunately, he's been gone for a while.
Oh, I'm sure his fiance is not happy about that.
Since you mentioned fiance, I actually heard that silly little rumor that Avery's engaged.
It is no silly rumor, Dr. Adams. Avery and Savannah are indeed engaged.
Well, I also heard Robert is not too happy about it.
Nonsense. Robert couldn't be happier for the two of them.
It's very interesting to me. My sister actually said that the two were engaged earlier, and I did not believe her.
It appears your sister is quite the investigator.
Oh, God, she fancies herself one. Well, I wish I could stay here and chat all day, but I gotta get back inside.
Of course, Dr. Shepard Adams. I fear that I've taken too much of your time already. I need to take care of a couple of things, and I'm almost certain you do too. I really enjoyed meeting you, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Likewise.
Dr. Adams goes into the clinic. Interior Adams' house. Living room, day. Christine comes in with groceries. Dr. Adams is sitting down.
I talked to Mr. Eskridge.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had to stop him. He seemed like he was anxious and in a hurry. I asked him about Avery, and he had no idea that the boy was staying in town. He told me I must have been mistaken.
Yeah, ridiculous. He should know better.
You're going to love this. I asked him about Avery's love life, and he confirmed what I thought.
I already know that Avery and Savannah are engaged.
You made it seem like you didn't believe it. I also told him that he's staying at the villas.
Has it ever occurred to you that you don't have to tell everyone's business at all times?
Well, I feel like it's my duty to keep everyone informed. Mr. Eskridge was very grateful. He headed out towards the villas right after that.
So tell me, how did you know he was out with another woman last night anyway?
Well, on my way back from the grocery store, I heard voices in the wooded area.
Begin flashback. Exterior wooded area at night. Flashback. Christina's walking down a path when she stops. A man with a hat and sunglasses and a woman we can't recognize are in the woods. Christine hides behind a tree.
Not that I really cared, but I was curious to see who it was.
And
I absolutely knew the man was Avery Livingston, but it was dark, so I could not make out who she was.
what were they saying?
Oh, and I'm the one who likes to gossip, huh? I couldn't make out what she was saying, but clearly it upset Avery. And then he said something like, "My dear, we must be patient. The old man can cut me off in an instant. He has already been fed up with me for the past few years. We don't need anything to upset him and him change his will."
The man and the woman appear to be talking.
Everyone thinks he's rich, but he's so much more wealthy than most think. And when he's gone, I'll be set for life. Just give me time and leave it to me. Those weren't his exact words, but it was something of that sort.
Christine tries to move closer and a twig breaks and the two people walk away.
Unfortunately, I stepped on a stick and they heard me and walked the other way.
In flashback. Interior Adam's house. Living room. Day.
I wonder why he was talking like that. And who was the girl?
I would bet that it would have been Savannah, but
That doesn't make much sense. Why would they be speaking like that?
right.
Maybe I should give him a call and see if I can do anything.
Dr. Adams walks toward another room. Interior Adams house office. Day. Dr. Adams is dialing on his phone. We see the name Avery Livingston. Interior the Noble Elixir. Day. We see Avery sitting at the bar with his back to us. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. Camera goes to Avery's point of view, and we see Shepard Adams is calling. He answers. Interior Adams house office. Day.
Hey, Shep. It's nice to hear from you.
Hey, Avery, I didn't know you were in town. Why didn't you give me a call?
I figured that was Christy sneaking around in the woods. No, I was making a quick trip in town, kind of incognito style.
But why? And I guess that's why you're staying at the villas instead of Pan's Manor.
Well, that's kind of a long story. Things have not been going so well for me lately, Shep. I don't want to get into it over the phone, but I'm in a mess.
What sort of mess?
Kind of mess that I have no earthly idea what to do next. It's my father, stepfather.
What has he done?
It's not what he has done. It's what he'll likely do.
Is it really serious?
Oh yeah.
Is there anything I can do?
Hey man, I appreciate you reaching out. We need to go have a drink soon for sure, but on this matter, I think I need to handle this alone. Yeah, I need to do this alone. Bye, Shep.
Avery, no. Avery. Avery.
Avery hangs up. Interior Pan's Manor at night. The doorbell rings and then John Goodwin opens it.
Good evening, Dr. Adams. Please come on in.
Thank you, Goodwin.
Harrison Clark walks by with papers and files in his hand.
Hello, Dr. Adams. What brings you to Pan's Manor? Is this a professional call or are you coming to dinner?
Robert invited me for dinner.
I will set another place.
I'm about to take these up for Mr. Eskridge to sign, and I will tell him that you are here.
Why don't you wait in the study? I have to help with finishing dinner.
Sounds good.
Interior Pans Manor study at night. Goodwin and Harrison leave, and Dr. Adams goes to open the study door, but then he hears something slam shut. Dr. Adams goes in and sees Miss Bell in the room. She seems rattled, but smiles a flirty smile when she sees him.
Excuse me, Mrs. Bell.
Oh, no. Excuse me, doctor. I just wasn't expecting you here. I was just checking sure to make sure the flowers are fresh. Robert enjoys that.
I'm sorry. I must be early.
You are early for some things, but right on time for others. Robert didn't let me know you were coming, or I would have dressed up more.
Well, he is a busy man. How's that knee? Do you need another checkup?
Better. Thank you for asking. Everyone will be down shortly, so please excuse me so I can make sure that dinner's ready.
Miss Bell leaves the room. Dr. Adams explores the room, examining things that could have made the slamming sound. Dr. Adams picks up the top to a display case. It slips out of his fingers and slams down. Savannah Eskridge comes into the study.
I don't know why all men make such a big deal about those sports things.
Well, some of these things are priceless to the owner, and some are priceless in general. You see that ball there? Signed by Babe Ruth. And this was the net that's got the name by
Dr. Adams, I've heard it hundreds of times. I'm just not interested in that. But I am interested in you congratulating me.
Savannah shows her.
Congratulations, Savannah. I'm sorry. I had no idea. You and Avery will be very happy.
We've been engaged for nearly a month, but my uncle just announced it yesterday. Uncle Robert, he's excited. He's going to give us this house on the other side of the lake to live in.
Jane Eskridge walks into the room.
Good evening, Doctor. I see you've already heard the good news. The two fell in love as soon as we moved back. They will be the perfect couple.
Yes, ma'am. I was just congratulating Savannah on the news.
Dr. Adams, you're a smart man and very close with Robert. It's so difficult for me to judge, especially after my poor, sweet husband Silas's death. Do you think Robert will give the happy couple some type of allowance to help them live a certain lifestyle that they're accustomed to?
Dinner is served.
Dr. Adams hurries out the door to the dining room, followed by the ladies. Interior Pans Manor dining room at night. Holt Sullivan is in the dining room, and Dr. Adams walks over to him.
Hey, Shep. I had no idea that you were going to be here.
Likewise, it's good to see you.
Hey, you've been playing much golf?
Not a bit. I haven't picked up a club since the last time we played with Avery.
That was a good time. Hey, maybe we could all play this weekend since I'm here.
How am I the only one that didn't know he was here? Well, that's me and Robert, I guess.
Everyone takes a seat, and Miss Bell, Harrison Clark, John Goodwin, and Calloway bring in plates for dinner.
Dinner is served. Mr. Eskridge will be here any moment.
Everyone begins preparing for dinner except for Calloway. Robert Eskridge walks in, looking aggravated that he has to be there.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad everyone could join. I'm sorry I'm late. I have a lot on my mind and I lost track of time.
Good evening, Uncle. Do you want me to get anything for you?
No, Savannah. I'm good. Thank you, though. Why don't all of you catch me up with what has been going on with you all around the village? Starting with you, Savannah. How's the town taken to the news of our newly engaged couple?
Begin montage. Shots pans around the table as each person I don't know what that is, telling a story and laughing. Dr. Adams is looking at Robert, who looks very uninterested in everyone's stories. Music plays in montage. Interior Pans Manor dining room. Later, supper ends and everyone's plates are empty.
Well, that was just about as fine a dinner that I've had in a long time.
Would anyone care for dessert?
Not me. I'm too full. I very much enjoyed it. I'm going to go sit in the study for a little bit. Dr. Adams, do you care to join?
Robert and Dr. Adams get up from the table.
Robert, can I have a word with you?
Let's let it wait until the morning.
Interior Pan's Manor study at night. Robert and Dr. Adams enter the study. The fireplace is crackling in the background.
There, Shepard, have a seat. Oh, I'm sorry. Just move that laptop. I was trying my hand at a little amateur podcasting on it. Dinner was excellent. I just needed to get away from all that scene. I love everyone in that room to death, but I needed to get away. It's either some story I've heard 100 times or ass kissing to me.
Robert fetches 2 cigars and hands one to Dr. Adams.
I have told Goodwin to make sure we are not disturbed. You listen to any good podcasts lately?
I haven't. Just been trying to get some of our own stuff together. I'm really excited about you and I.
Robert pulls out his cigar knife and clips both cigars.
You know, you can have the best of plans, our stories in order, and then one person can just ruin it for you. And this is the first time where nothing is going according to plan for me. Between this stuff with Avery and the other stuff, I don't know what to do.
Robert, I apologize, but I do not know what you're referring to.
You attended Jim Meeks in his last illness, didn't you?
I did.
Robert looks at the fire and doesn't look away as he keeps talking.
Did you ever suspect poisoning?
To tell you the truth, I thought it never crossed my mind until a conversation with my sister. I know he wasn't poisoned, but after listening to her, I just couldn't get the thought out of my mind.
Wow. He was poisoned.
No. No, by who?
His wife.
And how do you know this?
She told me.
When?
Yesterday. Oh, good Lord. I can't believe that was just yesterday.
He pauses and finally looks at Dr. Adams.
Shep, I'm telling you this in confidence. This goes nowhere else. Definitely not to that sister of yours. I need your advice. I can't carry this weight by myself.
Can you tell me the whole story? What did she say?
So, about 6 months ago, I asked Charlotte to marry me. She turned me down. Then again, about 3 months ago, I asked again. She said yes, but said we could not make it public until she was seen mourning for a year since Jim's death. So yesterday, when I told her it had been over a year since her husband's passing, and I wanted to make our
How
engagement
long have y'all
public.
been seeing each other?
Robert gives Dr. Adams a death stare.
Never mind, it's not important.
So I knew she had been acting strange in the recent weeks. But when I asked, she completely broke down crying and told me everything. The hatred for her husband, the growing love for me, and the means to take care of it. I mean, it was cold-blooded murder.
Robert puts his hands in his face and weeps.
And there was one other person who knew as well. Someone had been blackmailing her over what she had done. They were bleeding her off for money and essentially driving her mad.
Who was blackmailing her?
She wouldn't tell me. But since she has said it, I can't get the thought out of my mind that it was someone in my own household. Am I crazy to think that?
Oh, I don't know. What did you say?
There was nothing I could say. I'm sure my face said it all. She said she would let me know in 24 hours. I'm sure she would have thought that I would have run over and killed him that very instant. Oh my God, I swear to you, Doc, I had no idea what she was going to do. Suicide? My reaction drove her to kill herself.
No, Robert. Don't have an exaggerated view of things. That the result of her death has nothing to do with you.
Well, the question is, What do I do now? She's gone. Do I even need to try to worry over this blackmail thing anymore? I must just drop it because it could drive me insane.
Yeah, I agree that you need to worry about your own self for now. That may be the best thing to do.
But at the same time, there is a man who absolutely did drive her to her death. Does he not deserve punishment?
There's a knock at the door.
What is it, Goodwin? I said we did not want to be disturbed.
Harrison Clark opens the door and comes in with folders, papers, and a blue envelope.
I'm sorry, Mr. Eskridge. I just wanted to give you these things before I call it a night.
No, I'm sorry, Harrison. You didn't know. You were just doing your job. Thank you. But I do not want to be disturbed again. Why are you working at 8:40 at night anyway?
Terrible habit, I guess.
Everything else falls on the floor except the blue envelope he is holding.
Charlotte's writing.
He rips open the envelope, pulls out a couple of folded pieces of paper.
Go close to that window. I have a weird feeling that I have been watched or spied on all day. What was that?
Dr. Adams jumps up, opens the door, but sees no one outside it.
Maybe it's just my nerves. My dear Robert, a life calls for a life. I see that now as I saw it in your face as well. So I am taking the only road I have left. I am leaving to you the punishment of the person who has made my life a living hell for the past year. I could not tell you yesterday. I felt it would be better to write it down at the end of this letter. But I do want to tell you how much you meant to me for so long.
Visibly upset, Robert puts the letter down and back into the envelope.
I think the rest of it was intended for me. I will read it when I'm alone.
Just read it to yourself. No, wait.
Robert looks strangely at Dr. Adams.
I prefer to be by myself. I will talk to you tomorrow. There's something that I really need to talk to you about in the morning.
Dr. Adams gets up. He walks over to the door, but looks back at Robert.
I know no matter how much I begged and pleaded with him, it was just going to drive him to do the opposite. The letters came in about 8:40, so when I decided to take my leave, it was 10 till 9. I hesitated with my hand on the door. I looked back and wondered, was there anything else left to do? I decided there was nothing more I could have done, so I left.
Dr. Adams leaves. Interior Payne's Manor at night. Dr. Adams walks by John Goodwin.
Hey, Goodwin, I'm gone, buddy. Mr. Eskridge said no more visitors for the night.
Thank you, Doctor.
Exterior Payne's Manor at the gates at night. Dr. Adams walks out the door. Then he turns to the corner at the gates and sees someone coming toward him. The mystery man has his hat pulled down and his coat collar up.
We may not have a mystery man if someone just wants to jump in and read that part.
Excuse me, sir. Is this Pound's Manor?
Yeah, it is. Those are the gates right there.
Thank you. I'm not from around here. I just wanted to be sure.
Both men keep walking. Dr. Adams turns around to get another look. Interior of Adams' house, living room at night. Dr. Adams is sitting in his chair like at the beginning. The phone rings and Dr. Adams looks at his phone and says, 9:55.
And that's when I got the call that changed everything. I know Robert was in a bad state of mind, but I never would have thought he would have maybe taken his own life.
Interior Payne's Manor at night. Dr. Adams knocks on the door for a little while. Then finally, Godwin opens the door and Dr. Adams pushes past him.
Where is he?
Interior Pans Manor study at night. Dr. Adams and Godwin knock on the door, but there's no answer. They look at each other, alarmed.
Mr. Eskridge, Mr. Eskridge, Robert, I'm coming in.
They break in the door, find Robert murdered with his cigar knife to the neck.
Oh my God, he's dead!
Go call the police right now. We do not need to disturb the scene. Where are Harrison and Holt?
I will find them.
Godwin leaves the room. Dr. Adams paces, worried, and then Holt and Harrison come in the door.
What is going on here? Oh my God!
What the hell happened? I have no idea.
Holt goes to touch his knife, and Dr. Adams stops him.
Well, no, we don't need to touch a thing. We need the police to see it exactly as it is.
It must have been a robbery of some sort. This is terrible.
You think it's a robbery?
Had to be. It couldn't have been suicide.
No, it's definitely not suicide. The way those cut marks are, it had to be someone attacking from behind.
Why? What would be the motive?
Mr. Eskridge had no enemies. That doesn't make sense.
Everything looks normal in here to me.
What about all those papers scattered on the floor?
I brought those into Mr. Eskridge earlier this evening. He always wants the newspaper and any business dealings before he goes to bed.
Dr. Adams looks down, but there is no blue envelope. The letter is gone. Interior Pans Manor study at night. Chief Froth and Godwin enter the room.
Good evening, gentlemen. I hate to see you under all these circumstances, but Robert was a good man. A good one tells me it was a murder. Doctor, is there any chance this is anything else?
I don't believe so, sir.
Has the body been moved at all?
Other than me confirming he was dead, no, we haven't touched him.
Good. Who discovered the body?
Well, I did, kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I received a call saying it was Goodwin and Robert had been murdered.
So Goodwin discovered the body?
Well, that's the thing. When I got here, Goodwin said he never made that call.
Yes, I made no such call.
That is strange. Did it sound like his voice?
Well, I can't say I noticed. I just took it for granted and assumed it was.
Well, when you arrived, how long do you say he had been dead?
I'm not for certain, but I'd say around 30 minutes, give or take.
You say the door was locked from the inside? What about the window?
I closed it and locked it myself earlier.
Well, it is open now.
Chief Froth goes to the window and shines his flashlight.
And this is the way he left. Come here. You can see the footprints here. Plain as day. What valuables were missing?
Nothing that I can see. Mr. Eskridge didn't keep any valuables in here. Oh, wait. His ball.
They look, but it's still there.
It's still there, so really nothing.
So a burglar found the window open, climbed in, murdered Mr. Eskridge, who probably was sleeping, then lost his nerve and hurried back out the window. We should be able to find him in no time. Has there been any suspicious strangers around here?
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
What is it, Doctor?
Well, when I was leaving tonight, I saw a man and he asked me where Pan's Manor was. He said he was from out of town.
Can you describe him?
About 6 feet, athletic build. He had on a dark hat and his coat was pulled way up, so I didn't really get to see his face.
Did you recognize his voice?
I didn't, but it was very deep and scratchy.
Has anyone with that prescription come to the front door?
No, sir.
Did either of you see anyone that fits that description?
Not me.
Me neither.
What time was that, Doctor?
9 p.m.
Okay. Let's get the timeline right. When was the last time he was ever alive? He was seen alive.
Probably by me.
And what time was that?
10 till 9.
He was definitely alive at 9:30. I heard his voice talking.
Who was he talking to?
I'm not sure. I was bringing him some papers, some more papers. When I heard him talking, I assumed he was talking with Dr. Adams. Then I remember he did not want to be disturbed, so I turned around.
I was in my chair at 9:05 and didn't leave until I got the call. Christy was with me the entire time.
What about you, sir? Where were you?
Yeah, my name is Hull Sullivan. I'm not sure where I was exactly 9:30, but I've been playing pool most of the night. I only left to use the bathroom.
Can anyone confirm that?
Yes, I was playing with John and Harrison.
It's true. I was in and out playing.
And what about you?
I did not speak with him, but I also heard him talking. I was going to bring him more bourbon like I always do, but I also remembered he did not want to be disturbed, so I turned around.
Could you tell who he was talking to?
I could not. I thought I heard something about borrowing money. I don't make it a habit of eavesdropping, so I left.
Well, then it seems Mr. Estridge let the person in himself. And the only other thing that is certain is that the last time he was for sure alive was 9:30.
Well, Savannah saw him after that.
Savannah?
Yes, sir. I was bringing more bourbon for him, and I saw Savannah coming out of there, and she and her uncle, she said he was not to be disturbed.
I need to see Miss Estridge at once. Don't tell her what has happened. Leave that to me.
Godwin leaves.
Let's go in the hall so she doesn't have to see her uncle.
Interior Pans Manor Hall at night.
Which way to her room?
It's over on that wing, sir.
Whose room was over there?
On this side, it's just Mr. Eskridge's suite. He made this area a little elaborate and only wanted himself to be there. Only wanted himself to be here.
It's nice to have money to build your bedroom suite larger than most houses.
Yeah. We need to follow those footsteps. But I must talk to Savannah first.
Goodwin and Savannah come walking up. Savannah is in her PJs.
Good evening, Miss Estridge. It appears there's been an attempted robbery, and we need your help.
Oh my gosh. And yes, of course, what can I do?
We just need your help with some information. Mr. Sullivan said he saw you leaving Mr. Eskridge's study at 9:45. Is this correct?
Yes, I went to tell him goodnight, and that time seems about right, but I'm not for certain.
Was anyone with your uncle at the time?
No, he was alone.
Did you notice if the window was open or shut?
I'm not sure. The curtains were closed.
And your uncle seemed fine?
I suppose so. It seemed that way.
Do you mind telling me what y'all talked about?
Well, I just went to say goodnight, that I was tired. I kissed him goodnight and I went to bed.
Did your uncle also tell you that he did not want to be disturbed?
Oh, yes, I forgot. He told me that he didn't want to be disturbed by anyone for the remainder of the night. And as I was leaving, I told Goodwin this very thing.
And then you went to bed?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you tell everyone else what your uncle asked? You just told Godwin. It feels like you are not telling me something here.
Chief Froth walks towards Savannah, hoping to intimidate her, but Holt blocks his attempt.
I just assumed everyone was down for the night. It was late and I was tired. What's this all about? What was taken?
I didn't say anything was taken. I only said it was an attempted robbery. But we don't know yet for sure. Miss Eskridge, I have some bad news. Your uncle is dead.
What? When?
Not long after you left him.
I can't believe this.
She begins to cry and holds her, hugs her, and gives her a tissue. Interior Pan's Manor office at night. Dr. Adams comes in the door, and Chief Roth gets up to close the door.
Thank you for joining me, Doctor. How is Savannah doing?
She's fine. She's upstairs with her mother.
I don't want anyone else eavesdropping in here. Go ahead and have a seat. I have questioned most everyone about the visitor matching your description. No one knows of any visitor of any kind. Is there any more you could tell me about him?
Like I said, it was dark. His hat was pulled down, his collar was up. I really couldn't see much.
And if he was hiding his appearance, I'm sure the voice you heard was disguised as well. We'll circle back to that. Now, tell me more about what of this blackmail mess.
Blackmail?
Yes. Is there any truth to it, or is it Goodwin's imagination?
If John said something pertaining to blackmail, then he must have been eavesdropping on our conversation.
I don't doubt that one bit. I've been asking a lot of questions to everyone, and he's acting a little different. And when I questioned him, he got all wound up and lashed out about blackmail. I know he knows more than he's telling.
I'm glad you brought it up, Chief. There is something I was waiting to tell you when we were alone.
Begin montage. Dr. Adams panorams the story to Chief Roth. Music plays in montage.
That's quite a story. And one I thought I left in my whole life. And you say that particular letter was not amongst all the papers in the study.
It was definitely missing. I looked several times.
Well, that gives us what we need, a motive. And you say Robert felt as if someone in his very own household?
He said the thought kept going through his mind. You don't think it was John Goodwin, do you?
At the moment, he's definitely a person of interest. He does know the layout of the house and the land the best. It seems he made a few too many trips toward Robert's study tonight. It just seems off.
Dr. Adams nods.
So Goodwin waited until everyone was gone, walked in the study as normal, stabbed Robert, locked the door from the inside, went out the window, came back in a side door, and he left open.
It's possible, but if Robert read the letter when I left like he intended to do, I doubt he sat around and waited for Goodwin to come in. You know how he is.
Yeah, that is true. But he didn't get to read the letter yet. We know he had a visitor about 9:30 and don't know how long they were there. He was also visited by Savannah at 9:45, so probably never read the letter. That's why Godwin was able to stab him without Robert expecting it.
Yeah. And the phone call to me?
Godwin definitely made the call. With the locked door and the open window, he thinks that would shift it away from him. But he panicked and decided to deny it all. We'll find out where the call came from soon enough.
All seems very possible.
It will make sure to watch him so he doesn't sneak away. Well, we're going to let it be known that we are mainly looking for the mystery man. Maybe Godwin will let his guard up.
Interior Pan billiards room at night. Chief Roth walks in with a cigar knife in a plastic bag. Dr. Adams follows him in.
Oh gosh, it was a cigar knife.
You recognize it?
It's the knife Mr. Eskridge won from Holt last year.
Interesting. Is that true?
Yes, it is, sir.
But you have not looked at it yet.
I I don't need to. I saw it the moment we walked in the study.
So you gave the cigar knife to Mr. Etheridge?
I wouldn't say I gave it to him. He wanted in a suspicious game of poker with me, where he miraculously had four of a kind better than my four of a kind.
That's a tough beat. I bet that you made him pretty angry. Made you
Well,
pretty upset.
Well, I mean, of course I was. My daddy gave me that knife.
Okay. And Miss Bell, what were you doing in the study before dinner?
I was cleaning up and making sure everything was straight.
Did you mess with the display case while you were in there?
As a matter of fact, I did. The case had no business being open, so I closed it.
Can you tell me if the cigar knife was in there when you closed it?
I have no idea. I didn't pay any attention to it.
I see. And the display case is near the window.
Yes, sir.
So anyone could have gotten the cigar knife at any point throughout the day or night.
Fade 2. Internal Adams house kitchen day. Dr. Adams walks in and gets coffee. Christy is on the couch.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The police suspect Goodwin. That's what I hear anyway.
You fascinate me sometimes.
There's a knock at the door. Dr. Adams opens it to find Savannah Eskridge.
Good morning, doctor. May I come in for a moment?
Of course. Come on in.
Could we be alone for a moment?
Christy rolls her eyes and leaves.
I have a favor to ask.
Name it.
I would like you to come next door and ask your neighbor for help with me.
Well, what kind of help? Gardening advice?
Oh, no. That is Francis Beauregard. He is one of the most well-known private investigators. My uncle had invited him to stay for a while to help on one of his side projects.
That silly man.
Oh God! Now I feel like an idiot. I have absolutely heard of him. I just expected him to be a gardener or a hairdresser, not a private investigator.
Well, will you come with me to talk to him?
What for?
To investigate my uncle's murder.
You don't trust Chief Roth?
Of course she doesn't. I wouldn't either.
Well, you might as well come in here since you don't understand the concept of privacy. So
I do, but I would just like to make sure his killer is brought to justice.
I thought Chief Roth had a pretty good handle on things last night.
I know why you're saying that. You're afraid. But I'm not. I know Avery better than any of you.
Christy walks in to join them.
What does Avery have anything to do with this?
Avery may be irresponsible and likes to party, and he has that same temper of my uncle, but he's not a murderer.
Whoa, nobody even mentioned Avery last night.
Then why did you go to the Noble Elixir last night on your way home?
How did you know about that?
I went there this morning because someone said he was staying up there, and they told me you also paid them a visit.
You didn't know he was in town?
No, and it makes me so angry that he kept it from me. And I'm sure that they told you the same thing they told me, that he left at 9 last night and no one has seen or heard from him since.
Did they know where he was going?
I'm sure he probably left to go back to Oxford or something.
And left his luggage?
There is some simple explanation. I know it is.
I would just leave it alone because I don't think anybody suspects Avery.
Well, Chief Roth had also been there asking questions about Avery, so he must suspect him. Avery is one of your best friends these days, and he's also my fiance. We have to get to the bottom of this.
Interior Bogart's home at day. Bogart opens the door. Dr. Adams and Savannah are there.
Hello, doctor. And hello, ma'am. What did you hear today?
Well, perhaps you heard about the tragedy that occurred last night?
Why, yes, I did. I could not believe it to be true.
Well, this is Mr. Eskridge's niece, Savannah. And she...
I want you to find the murderer.
Isn't that what the police Or for what?
They may make a mistake. I think they're on their way to making a mistake now. And if it's an issue of money, I have.
Oh no, ma'am. I'm not interested in money. Robert had already compensated me well and put me here. Are you sure you want me to take this case? When I take on a case, I see it all the way through. I will leave no stone unturned. Depending on what I find, you may wish you left it up to the local police.
I want the truth.
Are you absolutely certain?
Yes.
Well, in that case, I accept, and I hope you will not regret my findings. Tell me all the circumstances.
I believe Dr. Adams would be better informed. He knows more than I do.
Good doctor. Could you catch me up on the case?
Begin montage. Dr. Adams starts pantomiming the story to Bogard. Bogard looks toward the ceiling with his eyes closed in montage.
Is that it? That everything? Then, good doctor, will you take me to the chief?
Police station day. Chief Froth is on his phone and signals Dr. Adams and Bogard to come into his office.
Good morning, Doctor. What do I owe this pleasure?
I wanted to introduce you to Francis Beauregard.
Well, I'll be. Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Beauregard. It's an honor to meet you.
No, Chief Froth, you can be certain that the honor is all mine. And please, it's just Beauregard.
That's kind of you to say. But what can I do for you, gentlemen?
Savannah
Savannah's hired Beauregard to assist in the investigation of Robert's murder.
Well, the extras are free to do what they want, but I'm not sure if there's any need for him. I think it's going to be as straightforward as it can be. And I don't want to waste your time.
I hope you are correct with that assumption, Chief Froth. I said I would not ever take on another case, or people would constantly want to hire me. I'm enjoying retirement, and I want to stay retired. But Robert has been good to me, and I would like to be an assistance to you. I would not impede on your investigation, nor would I ask you for any of your information. I will do my own independent investigating, with your blessing, of course.
I still don't know if it's a good idea. I think we have it under control here.
But I do have one condition. I do mean to stay retired. So I don't want anyone to know I am involved with another investigation. So if I do uncover anything, I would like you to take all the credit.
Chief Froth looks at me and back to Bogard, and then the look on his face goes from agitation to excitement. He stands up and shakes Bogard's hand.
Well, in that case, you absolutely have my blessing. I was about to go down there and investigate some more. Would you gentlemen care to join me?
We most certainly would.
Interior Pan's Manor at day. Godwin opens the door and invites everyone in.
Mr. Godwin, did you do as I requested and make sure the study was not bothered other than the removal of the body?
Yes, sir. Nothing has been touched.
Good. I'm about to go relook at these tracks. Beauregard, do you care to join me?
If it's all right with you, Chief, I'd like to take a look at the study.
Fine by me.
Pan's Manor, study, day.
So describe to me, as detailed as possible, how Robert was positioned.
Begin montage. Dr. Adams pantomimes his description as Bogard goes and sits in the chair and closes his eyes. In montage.
The blue letter you speak of, where was it when you left the room?
Robert had placed it on the table beside him.
Dr. Adams, could you show me the exact position of the knife? Here, position it on yourself so I can see.
Dr. Adams sits down and shows where the knife was. Bogard stands in the doorway.
You could both see the knife the moment you entered the room?
Yes.
Bogart walks over to the window and inspects it.
These marks look similar to the footprints made with boots. When you entered and found the body, Doctor, how was the fire? Was it low?
I don't recall. Maybe I could ask the other gentleman.
I erred asking you that question. Mr. Goodwin, please come here.
John Goodwin returns to the room.
Mr. Goodwin, I hate to bother you, but I was hoping you could answer a question for me. When you entered the room and found Mr. Eskridge, what was the level of the fire?
It was very low. It had almost burned out.
Thank you. And again, do recall, is this room just like it was when you found Mr. Eskridge?
Well, for some reason, this chair was pulled out away from the wall, and I think it was facing the door for some reason.
That would be a weird position for anyone to sit. Did you push it back to the position it is in now?
No, sir. I don't believe so.
What about you? With you always tidying up, do you think you subconsciously moved it back?
I'm not certain. But I can assure you that it was back in the spot it is now when the chief arrived.
Interesting.
Harrison or Holt must have done it. But why is that interesting? I don't see how a chair committed murder.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. You may leave now.
John Goodwin leaves the room.
Do you believe Mr. Goodwin?
About the chair, yes, but I'm not sure about everything though. I do think he's hiding something.
I've been doing this so long, most of these cases do go the same way. Everyone is hiding something, even if it's just a little detail.
Well, do you think I'm hiding something?
Perhaps. Have you told me everything there is to know about Avery Livingston? I'm just picking with you. I will learn everything I need to know in time.
I'm a little confused about a lot of this, and I consider myself a decent investigator. I don't understand some of the questions you're asking, but like the fire. Will you elaborate?
If you truly want to know my methods, then I will accept you as my assistant on the case. I need you to take good notes. Get you a notebook. As far as the fire goes, it's very simple. You left Mr. Eskridge at 10 till 9, correct?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, the window was locked, correct?
Mm-hmm.
At 10:15, the window was open. Who opened it? Obviously, Mr. Eskridge did it himself for one of two reasons. Either the room became too hot, which does not seem to be the case since the fire was low and almost out, or he admitted someone through that way. And it must have been someone he knew very well because of how uneasy you said he was about that window.
That's very simple, actually.
Everything is simple when you line the facts up methodically. We need to know who Mr. Eskridge was having a conversation with last at 9:30. Even though Savannah saw him alive afterwards, that person could confirm if the window was open.
Exterior Pans Manor, front door at day. Chief Roth is outside when Bogart and Dr. Adams walk out.
Hey, boys, no need to keep digging. We have this thing figured out. So it seems everyone was accounted for inside of Pan's Manor. And now I have a witness that said she was 100% sure that she saw Avery Livingston enter the gates at Pan's Manor and go around to the side.
Bogart and Dr. Adams look at each other. An officer brings Chief Roth some boots.
You're right on time. You boys want to walk with me and watch as the case unfolds?
They all walk to the side of the house. Chief Roth puts the boots beside on the tracks.
Well, there we go. An exact match. It's obvious not this pair, but it must have been ones just like these. So, sometime before 9:30, Avery comes to see his father, asking for some money because he knows what Avery's have blown all his money on now. Avery gets mad and he leaves, but not before he grabs a cigar knife. After Savannah leaves her uncle, Avery comes back through the window and stabs Robert and flees back out the window.
But why?
Who knows why people snap and commit murder? But follow me. You can see these tracks go all the way right here to the little gravel road. Then we lose the tracks.
Beauregard looks over to the tracks and sees a little house in the distance.
Avery is a very foolish man if he left all these tracks. Did you notice these women's footprints as well?
Yes, there are several ladies who Robert employs, and I wouldn't normally make a fuss about these footsteps, but everything else surrounding Avery makes him the clear murderer. Now, if y'all will excuse me, we need to locate Avery.
Chief Froth walks away. Dr. Adams is looking at Beauregard, who is looking down at the house.
You want to go look at that house, don't you?
Beauregard smiles and just walks out of frame. Boathouse day. Beauregard and Dr. Adams walk around the empty boathouse.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing we came in here. This is obviously where all the clues are.
Beauregard gets on all fours and crawls around. He picks something up and shows it to Dr. Adams.
Well, it may not be earth-shattering, but here's a little vial I know known as a snuff bullet. This is what drug users keep cocaine in and make it an easy way to snort.
Beauregard crawls over and finds a garter.
Not sure if we have clues or nonsense. Well, there's nothing more to see in here. Let's go back to the house.
Exterior Pans Manor, side yard at day. Beauregard and Dr. Adams walk back up toward the house.
I wonder who inherits it all.
Kind of embarrassed to say I hadn't even thought about that. I wish I had.
I feel like you aren't telling me your true thoughts.
Everyone's hiding something, right? You still believe that?
Now more so than ever.
Beauregard puts his finger over his mouth and leans over. They see Savannah almost dancing and skipping as she goes down the path, humming. Holt Sullivan walks up and startles her. They don't notice Beauregard or Dr. Adams.
Oh gosh, Holt, you nearly gave me a heart attack.
Holt just looks at her without saying anything.
What I like about you, Holt, is your cheery conversations.
Sorry, Savannah. You have seen me enough to know that I'm not a big talker.
Well, there are some good qualities about that too. Are you going back to the city now?
I suppose so.
Well, that's sad.
Why is it sad?
I don't know. It was good to see you again, but now you're leaving.
Well, I came to try and convince Mr. Eskridge to reinvest in my company because when he pulled out, it sent us towards bankruptcy. That's why I've been here so often. Why would I stay?
Well, I don't know. That's even sadder, though. Maybe we can help you out.
What do you mean?
You're going to think I'm a terrible person, but I'm actually in a better mood than I thought I would be. Harrison said the lawyer is getting the will together to tell us. Even a fraction of my uncle's money will change my life. He never let us go hungry and always provided us with a good home, but he never gave us any money to buy things we wanted. Now with this, I can have anything. I'm free. Now I don't have to. Never mind.
Don't have to what?
Nothing. I don't even know why I said.
Cuts herself off when Beauregard steps forward. Dr. Adams follows.
Pardon me. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself to this gentleman here.
Hello, Mr. Beauregard. This is Holt Sullivan. We've become good friends lately.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Beauregard.
Please, it's just Beauregard. And the pleasure is all mine.
I asked Mr. Beauregard to look into the murder. I didn't want Avery my fiance, wrongly accused of this.
I assure you, we will know the truth soon. Mr. Sullivan, may I ask you, when was the last time you saw Mr. Eskridge?
The last time I saw or spoke to him was at dinner.
You didn't see or hear from him after?
Well, I heard him in his study when he went outside to smoke.
What time was that?
I don't know. Maybe around 9:30?
Surely you could not hear his voice from just outside.
Well, I kind of took a stroll and got pretty close to his study window. When I heard him talking, I turned around not to eavesdrop.
Of course. Could you tell who he was talking to?
I assumed it was Harrison, but I can't be sure. I must have been drunk because I was distracted by what I thought was a woman running that way.
Do you drink often?
Quite the opposite. I hardly ever drink. Things haven't been going my way, so I thought, what the hell? Might as well indulge myself.
With your low tolerance, that may have caused you to see things that did not happen. It also may have made you hear things that did not happen. Or maybe it even made you do things you are not used to doing. Let me ask you, Mr. Sullivan, did you move the chair in the study?
Oh, that's what you meant. No, I didn't move anything in there. Why would I?
Not important. Thank you.
We're about to have lunch before the lawyer reads the will. Do you two care to join us?
We will love nothing more.
Savannah and Holt walk away. Bogard leans down to the foundation and picks up a shiny ring.
Well, what is that?
A ring.
I know it's a ring, but what?
Yes, it's an engagement ring.
Interior Pans Manor living room that day. Everyone starts to come into the living room where Mr. Gladden is going to read the will. Bogart grabs Dr. Adams and pulls him back.
You and I are in this investigation together. Watch closely as he reads the will and see if any reactions feel odd to you. Also, I want you to ask Holt about Ms. Meeks, but don't make it obvious that I want to know. Also, let's secretly interrogate the room.
Dr. Adams nods as it begins to pan the room while Mr. Gladden reads the will. Everyone seems excited except Jane Eskridge.
I knew this was going to change a lot of people's lives, but I hardly knew the type of money was going to be distributed. $20 million to Savannah, along with some property in the village. $1 million over the next 10 years to Jane Eskridge. $5 million to Alanis Bell. $100,000 to John Goodwin. $100,000 to Harrison Clark, with another $3 million to be paid out over the next 10 years, as long as he is an employee of Eskridge and Son Enterprises. And all remaining assets, properties, and Eskridge and Son would go to Avery Livingston. Man, that kind of money is life-changing.
Yep. I wish I could get them to invest in my company now.
I thought you were doing well.
Unfortunately, not yet. My company hasn't made the financial impact I had hoped. It's not been able to sustain itself independently yet.
It was about a year ago when you started it, right? I remember you saying something about you coming into some money and that you were going to start it. Come to think of, it was about the same time as Jim Meek's death.
Actually, yes. For this to be a wealthy utopia, there has been an awful lot of death.
Yeah. Mr. Meek, Miss Meek, and now Robert. I can't believe it. Did you know the Meeks will? I mean, like how you knew Robert?
No, not really. My parents knew them much better. I actually did see Miss Meek about a week ago when I arrived. I rode with Robert to bring her something. It's just crazy to me that they are both dead now.
Bogard walks away and nods for Dr. Adams to follow him.
Mr. Gladden, thank you for your service here today. I am Francis Beauregard, but I would prefer it if you call me Beauregard. I was hired by Miss Savannah, so I'm acting on her behalf. How large of a sum will her fiance Avery be receiving?
Oh, it's an absurd amount. Plus, Eskridge and Son is a very successful company. Robert did right by keeping Harrison around to run it because the company alone will allow Avery to never have to worry about money again.
What do you mean by having Harrison to run?
Avery will be president and Harrison will be VP. We all know Avery is not good with money. He constantly has to come ask for money from Robert. Now, no way he could run the company, but at the same time, he hasn't asked for as much lately. So maybe he's growing up.
Bogard and Dr. Adams sit on the couch, and Jane Eskridge comes and sits as well. Bogard nudges Dr. Adams.
I can't help but notice, Mrs. Eskridge, that you aren't as happy as everyone else in the room.
Well, it doesn't seem quite right. Why is he giving all that money to Savannah? I'm the one who will be taking care of her, and I'm offended by Robert's lack of confidence in me.
But you have to think, I mean, Savannah is his niece, true blood. It would probably be different if you were his sister instead of his sister-in-law.
I should have known anyway. Even though I was his brother's widow, he never spent any money on Savannah nor I. We practically had to beg for any kind of money to spend. It made me feel like I was the help. I know Savannah resented it. I mean, there was no way we should have been treated like that.
You could have left.
And to leave her so much money? Anyone but that woman.
Who are you talking about?
That promiscuous hussy of a housekeeper. Always thought she was no good. Robert has always had the highest praise for her, but I know what she was up to. Always prancing around. Skimpy outfits. Constantly flirting with every man she sees. I mean, she's no good. She did everything she could to marry Robert, but I wasn't going to let that happen. I hate her. She's hiding something, and I can feel it.
Mr. Gladden goes to leave, but stops to talk to Harrison.
Harrison, are you good for money until we can set you officially as the VP? Or until we find Avery?
Yes, we should be good to pay the household staff this week. I can just get it out of Robert's petty cash in his room.
He kept this cash in his room at all times?
Yes, I withdrew 10,000 yesterday and saw him put it in there before dinner.
That's a significant amount of money. Maybe we should check before I leave. Grab Chief Frost as well.
They leave, and Bogard nudges Dr. Adams, and they follow. Interior Pans Manor, Robert's bedroom day. On the way out of the office, Harrison spots Mr. Elkridge's laptop on the table and picks it up.
What is Mr. Eskridge's laptop doing out here? I'll put it in his room where it belongs.
Mr. Gladden, Chief Frost, Harrison Clark, Dr. Adams, and Bogard climb the stairs into Robert's room.
Sorry. Where does he keep it?
It's over in the bottom drawer of his bedside table.
Chief Frost pulls out a box with some cash inside and counts.
How much you said was in there?
$10,000.
Well, There's only $9,000 here.
Are you absolutely certain that there were $10,000 in there?
Yes, I saw him put it in there myself, right before he came down for dinner.
Well, he either took some and gave it to someone, or it has been stolen.
Why would someone kill Robert and only take 1,000? Why not take the whole thing?
Who would have access to this room?
Essentially everyone. But now I'm just remembering that Calloway did not join us for dinner last night.
And who is this Calloway?
Calloway Bolin is the maid. She actually gave her notice to leave yesterday, I believe.
To you?
No, that falls under Miss Bell's area.
Let's have a little chat with them.
Interior, Pan's Manor, living room, day. They sit with Miss Bell. Dr. Adams takes notes.
Miss Bell, can you tell me about Ms. Calloway Bolin?
She is a good worker. I never have any problems with her. She hasn't been here very long, less than a year, I would say. But I actually hate to lose her.
So she is leaving.
She told me yesterday.
Did she indicate why she's leaving?
It was none of my doing, as I understand Mr. Eskridge found fault in the way she did things. He scolded her over moving papers around on his desk, or so she led me to believe.
Beauregard signals to let Calloway in the room.
Thank you, Miss Bell.
You are always welcome, but Mr. Beauregard.
She makes room for Calloway Bolin to sit.
Hello, Miss Bolin. It's an honor to meet you. You may call me Beauregard.
How do you do, sir? It's nice to meet you.
Is it true you're leaving Pan's Manor?
Yes, I am.
Why?
I just arranged some papers on Mr. Eskridge's desk, and he was furious with me. He said it may be better if I were to leave Pan's Manor. He said the sooner the better. So I told Miss Bell soon after.
Were you in Mr. Eskridge's room last night at all?
No, sir. I wasn't supposed to clean in there until tomorrow.
I understand that you did not join everyone at dinner last night.
That is correct. I wasn't hungry, and I went up to my room to finish a book.
I need to tell you, there's a substantial amount of money missing from his room.
If you think I took that and he fired me, that is not the case at all. You can check all my belongings.
Since you insist, we will do that later. Thank you, Miss Bolin.
Calloway Bolin leaves the room.
Do you think she could have something to do with this, Miss Bell?
Honestly, I don't know. She doesn't seem like the type, but she also doesn't seem like the type to just up and quit.
Well, I won't hold any of you up any longer. Thank you all.
Exterior, Pan's Manor, front door, day. Beauregard and Dr. Adams walk side by side.
I see you've been taking good notes. Tell me what you think.
I don't really know, to be honest. They all seem truthful, but they all seem to have something to hide.
Go on.
I think they all could have had an opportunity to sneak in there. I'm having a hard time gathering what each motive would be. Some have a vague alibi and some have none. I really wish we knew more about the mystery stranger I saw that night.
We will in time. Care to go for a drink at the Noble Elixir?
Unfortunately, I have to go to Oxford and pick up supplies for my office, so I'll be gone for a few hours. Rain check?
Of course.
Exterior, Adams' house, day. Dr. Adams pulls up to his house and sees Beauregard leaving.
What the hell?
Dr. Adams gets the supplies out of his car and walks inside. Interior, Adams' house, living room, day. Dr. Adams walks in and sets his supplies down.
Hey, Christy, what was Beauregard doing over here?
Christy walks into the living room.
Just came to chat. He said the two of you have gotten so close that he thought it would be great to learn more about me.
What did y'all talk about?
He was telling me all about his previous cases.
So y'all didn't talk about Robert's murder?
Oh, of course we did. He was wondering about my theories and if I've heard any information. He said he heard I was a great amateur sleuth.
And so what'd you tell him?
Anything and everything I could. It's nice for someone to actually listen and take your thoughts into consideration. He was very interested in Avery's secret meeting with the mystery girl.
Great. Now he's definitely going to think it was Avery. I wish you wouldn't have told him that.
Well, that's just silly. That could be the alibi that Avery needs. Maybe he was out with her, so he wouldn't have been anywhere near Pan's Manor. He also wanted to see where you did your work, so I showed him. Then he wanted to see if maybe you had seen anyone with strange ailments, so I showed him your appointment book from that day.
Oh, I don't even remember who I saw that day.
It was the waitress who dropped the glass on her toe, the young guy that got too drunk and needed an IV before heading back to Oxford, old Mrs. Commonwealth, and hold on a spell.
Why did you make Miss Bell all dramatic when you said it? Why shouldn't she consult me about her bad knee?
We both know she doesn't have a bad knee. If she did, she wouldn't be wearing those heels.
Well, what'd you want then?
I don't know, pills? We haven't quite figured that out yet. But there is something about her, though.
Huh? Miss Eskridge said something similar to me, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, all you see are those heels, legs, and what's right above them.
Interior, Bogart's home, day. The phone rings and Bogart picks it up.
Hello? How are you, Chief Frost? What can I do for you? Sure. Let me put you on speakerphone and get some paper.
It doesn't look good for Avery at all. I've known that boy for a while, and I don't want it to be him, but I don't know what else to think. If he's innocent, why not come forward? There's plenty of evidence against him, so come give me an explanation.
Has there been any sign of him?
No, but we have sent a picture of all the surrounding areas, and they're all watching his normal spots. So he doesn't have any luggage, so he can't go too far.
Do you think he left town?
That's very possible. If he's still around here, someone will have recognized him, and he is well known here.
I'm afraid we're spending a lot of time on Avery. Did you find anything out on the mystery? Did you find anything out on the mystery visitor?
No, not yet. But I'm going to be honest with you, Beauregard. When I found Avery, I believe I would have found the mystery visitor as well.
Thank you for the update, Chief Frost. Let me know if there's anything I can do to assist you.
Oh, well, I almost forgot the reason for the call. You know the phone call the doctor received the night of the murder? It was not from Roger's house. It was from the last payphone on the way out of town at the Noble Exler.
Exterior, Adams' house, day. Bogart knocks on the door. Dr. Adams opens.
Hey, Beauregard. What can I do for you?
I need you to come with me to Pan's Manor.
Why? What's happened?
Nothing yet. Come on.
Exterior, Pan's house, front door, day. Bogart and Dr. Adams are greeted by Godwin.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Mr. Goodwin. Could you do me a favor and round up the family members and the household staff and meet us for a little reunion?
Certainly, I will tell them to meet you in the dining room.
That would be great. And tell Mr. Sullivan, too.
Interior, Pan's Manor, dining room, night. Everyone is gathered.
Now, I've gathered you all here for a plea to you all. When I took this case, I said I was going to find the truth. My plea is that each of you tell us those little secrets you've been hiding.
What secrets are you referring to?
Each of you at this table is withholding something. As small or insignificant as you think it may be, I need to know about it. If you know where Avery is, you must let us know. Right now, it's making him look more guilty by the minute.
I do not know where he is.
Bogart looks agitated. He looks at everyone else.
You all know Avery as well. If any of you know of his whereabouts, you must persuade him to come forward.
Bogart again looks agitated and drops his head.
I must admit, it is very peculiar that Avery has not come forward. It makes it appear as if something is behind it. I wonder what would happen to Avery's inheritance if he was found guilty.
Good God, woman. Is that all you think about?
Well, I'm sorry. Money is an issue around here. You would think Robert had none with as little as he gave us. I'm sure it was the same with Avery, and that's probably why he killed him.
Mother!
What? We're all thinking it.
By the way you all reacted, I can tell most of you are ready to get to the truth. Tell us your secrets so we can get there, no matter how small or insignificant you believe they are.
Everyone drops their head in silence.
I see I have your response. But let me tell you, I will know the truth soon. I will know the truth despite all of you.
Bogart walks out of the room. Exterior Pans Manor, front door day. Dr. Adams walks up beside Bogart.
Dr. Adams?
You know, I think I will take you up on that drink at the Noble Elixir tonight.
Why don't you just come over to my house tonight?
Interior Bogart's home. At night, Bogart brings over some whiskey glasses, ice, and whiskey, and sits in the chair beside Dr. Adams.
How is your lovely sister doing, Doctor?
She's good. She can't quit talking about you in your conversations.
Sometimes you just have to ask for the expert's opinion every now and then.
I guess you got all the good gossip.
And a great deal of good information.
Yeah, such as?
Why have you not told me the truth? I thought we were partners, but yet you withhold information from me.
You're talking about Avery being seen in the woods. I was going to get around to telling.
Do you have anything else you want to tell me? Now's the time.
I have a question for you. What is your interest in my patients?
Only one of your patients, my good doctor.
The blonde one?
I find Miss Bell fascinating in more ways than one.
So you agree with my sister and Mrs. Eskridge that something fishy is up with her?
That's what they think, too.
Yeah, I wish you would tell me what you think about all this. I went from feeling like Dr. Watson to your Sherlock to now feeling like an outsider.
Well, you have seen everything I've seen and heard everything I've heard. Should our ideas not be the same?
I mean, I feel like you're mocking me now. I have no experience in this, so obviously I don't have the same ideas as you.
I see you want to see it from the eyes of a detective, but you can't. You have direct connections with everyone involved and already have feelings toward everyone involved, whether it's friendship, professional relationship, lust, or even envy. You already have preconceived notions about everyone's intentions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What you need to do is get a clear history of what all took place that night. But you must keep in mind that everyone could be lying or not telling the complete truth. Take, for instance, you left Pan's Manor at 10 till 9. And how do I know that?
Because I told you so.
Haven't you been paying attention? You could have lied to me, but you didn't. Goodwin also confirmed that you left at 10 till 9. You see, now I can accept that as true and move on. Now, for your mystery stranger.
Surely you believe me on that.
I do, because it was also confirmed by a maid of Mrs. Commonwealth. She also was approached for directions by this mysterious stranger. I also inquired more about the stranger. Turns out one of the bartenders at Noble Elixir served him a couple of drinks. He had on a fraternity hat and an Old Miss shirt. So I assume he was a student who had come from Oxford. You remember the items I found in the boathouse? The drug of choice in Oxford is cocaine. So more begins to reveal itself.
What about the garter you found?
Well, he must have met someone out there, a female to be exact. This is also confirmed by Mr. Sullivan, who saw a woman walking that way.
Who was it?
Could have been several people. Now, tell me what you think of Callaway Boland's story. Do you believe the story about important papers? If she was fired for that reason, why would have Robert not told everyone? And remember, she said she was alone in her room the whole time, but no one can confirm this.
Now you're just muddying the water for me.
Quite the opposite. It's becoming clearer and clearer. Tell me your thoughts.
I've tried to put my biases away, and I have 4 points that stick out to me. Mr. Eskridge was heard talking to someone at 9:30. At some point, Avery must have come through the window because we have his shoe prints. Robert was nervous that evening. I saw that for myself. He would have only let in someone he knew. The person who he was with at 9:30 was asking for money, so we know that Avery Livingston was the person in with Robert because it is known he always has to get money from his stepfather. But we also know he was alive at 9:45 and Avery was not in the room, so he must have left the window open, and that's how the killer came in.
So, who is the murderer?
It would have to be the mysterious stranger.
That is a very good theory, but it leaves a lot unaccounted for.
Such as?
Telephone call, the pushed out chair.
You really think the chair is a clue?
Perhaps not. But what about the missing money?
Robert must have given it to Avery.
Why has Avery disappeared?
I don't know. I mean, his stepfather was murdered. Maybe he's trying to cope. Maybe he thinks people are assuming that he's guilty.
But let's not lose sight of one thing.
Yeah, I know, motive. Avery gains a fortune by his stepfather's death.
That's one motive for sure.
One?
Do you realize there are multiple motives staring us in the face? Someone stole the blue envelope and its contents. Could Avery be the one who was blackmailing Mrs. Meek? The lawyer said Avery hadn't needed money in a while. Maybe he now has other means of getting money.
And again, I'll be honest, the case does look bad against him. Yes, maybe Avery did do it.
That's where we disagree. There's too many motives. I am inclined to believe that Avery is innocent.
Pan's Manor, Jane's room, day. Dr. Shepard walks into Jane Eskridge's room.
Miss Eskridge, what can I do for you?
This whole situation has me feeling distressed. I'm having a terrible episode of exhaustion, and I can't help but think about poor Robert murdered.
Yeah, here, let me take a look at you.
We were in the house when it happened. They could have killed us as well. I'm at my wit's end thinking about it. And that scene last night, my gosh.
What scene?
The one Beauregard presented before us. I mean, he made it out like we were all the criminals. I didn't appreciate that one bit. I have given Chief Roth everything he asked for, and he is pleased with what I have told him. I don't know why Savannah brought that other bully into all of this. He shouldn't have shouted at us all like that. So, what does he think of all of this?
Dr. Adams smiles because he knows that's why she wanted him there now.
I am not sure, Mrs. Eskridge, but I'm sure he was not really meaning it towards anyone. If you've been honest about everything and have nothing to hide, then I would not worry about it.
Well, You know, the help talks all the time anyway. They make a mountain out of a molehill.
What help are you referring to?
You are with Beauregard all the time, so obviously you know what Calloway has said.
Of course, but I don't know how much of it is truth and how much is fiction. Why don't you clarify it?
Well, it's no secret my brother-in-law never gave us money to survive. I had been looking at houses and cars and speaking with the bank. I was just a little curious as to how much Robert was going to leave me in his will so I wouldn't overextend myself in the long run. So, the Friday morning of his death, everyone was gone, or so I thought. I went into his office and saw a lot of papers on his desk, and then it hit me. Maybe he kept that will in his desk.
Did you find his will?
No. That's where Calloway comes in. I was searching the bottom drawer when she walked right in. She looked at me funny, and I told her she needed to dust some more over by the window, and I tried to make my way out. Robert walked in as I was leaving, and then I heard Calloway say, "I need to talk to you for a moment." They closed the door so I couldn't hear anything else. I went up to my room because I was very upset. Will you just tell Beauregard that is exactly how it happened?
Is that all?
Well, the night Robert was murdered, I had snuck back in there to see if I could find the will, but this time I heard someone coming in the window. So I ran back out of there, and I believe, that was about the time you arrived.
Let me ask you one other question. Did you leave the lid of the display open?
Oh, well, maybe. I did look inside there.
He hands her some pills.
Here's some medicine that will relieve your stress. I will make sure to relay your accounts to Beauregard.
Pants manner day. Dr. Adam heads for the front door.
It would make sense that Alanis Bell would come in through the window. She was probably running up from the boathouse. That could explain the garter Beauregard found. As sexy as Miss Bell is and as sexual as she seems, I have no doubt she would wear garters. God, it would be so sexy to see.
Dr. Adam sees Calloway crying and goes over to her.
How is it that you told us Mr. Eskridge called you in his office, but I'm finding out that you went to him?
I was planning on leaving. I didn't think it mattered.
Dr. Adams nods, then walks to the door, but she stops him.
Excuse me, doctor. Is there any word on Avery?
Not so far. Do you know something?
No, I was just curious. What time was Mr. Eskridge murdered?
A little before 10.
Is it not any earlier?
Couldn't be. Savannah spoke to her uncle until then.
Interior Bogart home day. Bogart opens the door and welcomes the doctor in. Dr. Adams carries some cookies with him.
Hello, good doctor. Sorry. Hello,
Thanks.
good doctor. Please come on in.
Thanks.
Make yourself at home. Are these your sister's world famous cookies that she has been raving about?
They are, actually.
And thank you and thank her so much. Did you come just to bring me cookies?
Well, yes, but I do have a little bit of information.
Please do tell.
Bogart sits back in his chair, expressionless.
So I proceeded to tell him about the conversation with Jane Eskridge, expecting more reaction, but it seemed like he could care less. When I got to the part about the noise outside the window, he spoke.
Miss Bell.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
It does bring up more questions. Remember her telling you she was checking on fresh flowers? We never seriously thought about that. I thought she used it as an excuse because she was tampering with the display case. But it seems there may have been another reason.
Who was she meeting and why?
Very good, my dear doctor. Let me ask you this. When she came to your office that day, did she ask about drugs, specifically cocaine?
As a matter of fact, she did. Cocaine.
Knock at the door. Bogart opens it to find Harrison.
Hello, Mr. Clark.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I wasn't expecting you here.
Good morning, Beauregard. Good morning, doctor.
Please come in and tell me what I can do for you.
Well, listening to you last night, I feel I need to get something off my chest.
What is it?
It's no secret I do a lot, or did a lot for Miss Eskridge. And lately I felt very underappreciated, and that Robert made me do all of his work. I was getting so angry that I was ready to quit. I started spending a lot of money to start my own business, but I made some bad decisions that put me in a hole financially. I know if you looked into my personal finances, then you may think I had a motive, but I was with Hope playing pool from 9:45 on.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for coming forward and telling me. I hope you see that Mr. Eskridge really appreciated you by making you do his work. He wanted you ready to be able to run the company if he was gone.
Yes, I see that now. I'm embarrassed I even thought different.
You're a good boy, Harrison. Robert was lucky to have you. I hope it relieves your conscience to speak.
Yes, it does. Now I must be getting back.
I may join you at Penn's Manor shortly.
See you then.
He leaves.
You want to go to Penn's Manor?
Shepard nods yes. Interior Pan's Manor day. Bogart, Dr. Adams, Harrison come to the front door.
Could you please fetch Savannah and Goodwin for me, Mr. Clark?
Certainly.
He leaves.
There are so many that gained from Mr. Eskridge's death, and now two have come forward with some secrets. But there are still too many secrets. I hope to keep extracting them.
Savannah and Holt come into the room laughing.
Thank you for joining me.
Of course, we weren't doing anything.
What is this about?
Nothing to worry about. Just want to get my facts straight. All I need is Miss Eskridge. So you can go if you would like.
No, I think I will stay.
Goodwin comes into the hall.
Perfect timing. Now, I would like you two to walk me through the scene just as it happened when you were leaving your uncle and saw Goodwin.
Well, I was coming out of the room, just like this. I believe I was still holding on to the door when Goodwin came around.
That's correct. I came around the corner with a tray of bourbon and 2 glasses.
Why 2 glasses?
I always bring 2 glasses if he's having company.
How did you know he had company?
I didn't. I guess I just assumed.
Carry on then.
Well, I said,
Again, flashback. Pan's Manor Hall day flashback.
oh, hey, Goodwin. I just left my uncle, and he said he didn't want to be disturbed for the rest of the night.
Of course. Do you need anything?
I have everything I need. Thank you.
In flashback. Pan's Manor day.
And then I went to my room.
And I went and joined Harrison and Holt.
That is true because I saw Savannah pass and because I was making sure the liquor was leaving for good.
Thank you all. That's all I needed. But Mr. Goodwin, could you fetch us a bottle and 2 glasses and meet the good doctor and I in the dining room?
Certainly.
Interior Pan's Manor dining room day.
Well, I need to know what you got out of that.
Let's just say I wanted to see who would tell me the truth.
Well, did they?
You were there just as much as me. It appears so. But secrets still surround us. I'm quite certain that whoever was blackmailing Mrs. Meeks is also the same person who killed Robert Eskridge. Could it be two different people? Several people come to mind. Harrison already admitted he was in financial trouble. And you said Holt somehow started a business with the income you did not know he had. And then there's our next guest.
Well, I can't keep up with all this. Just so who did it?
That's what we will find out soon enough. For now, we're about to scare John Goodwin into telling us the truth.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't need your help on this one.
Goodwin enters the room with the tray.
Here you go, gentlemen. Would you both like a glass?
None for me.
I would love one. And you can pour yourself one if you would like.
I'm okay.
He pours Bogart a drink.
Now, Mr. Goodwin, have you ever been involved in blackmail?
Excuse me?
No need to get upset. I was just wondering if you have ever blackmailed anyone. Let's say like your former employer.
Sir, I don't know what you're getting at, but I've never been so...
Oh, insulted in all your life. Let me ask another question. Why were you so intrigued the other night when you heard the word blackmail?
I wasn't. It's just what I heard.
Who was your last employer?
My last employer? Well, I last worked for...
James Rogers. Is that not correct?
John Goodwin's eyes get big as he slumps back in his seat and pours himself a drink.
It seems Mr. Rogers had a bad drug problem. You went everywhere with him and witnessed this much. Am I correct?
Yes, that is true.
It also seems that on your last trip to the Bahamas together, someone had a drug-related death, mostly thanks to Mr. Rogers. Is this also true?
Yes.
How much did he pay you a month to keep your mouth shut about it? Enough for you to live very comfortably, I assume. But he passed away about a year ago, didn't he? But what I want to know about is your latest blackmail project.
I have not blackmailed anyone.
That's not very believable. You blackmailed Mrs. Meeks. Robert found out about it, so you had to kill Robert to cover your tracks.
I wanted to tell you about Mr. Rogers because I knew it would come up, but I didn't want anyone to get the wrong impression. I've never harmed a hair on Mr. Eskridge's head, and I sure didn't kill him. I did not kill him!
Easy, John. I am inclined to believe you. I didn't think you were good. I don't think you're a good person, but I don't think you're a murderer. But I need the truth.
I'll tell you whatever you want to know. It is true. I heard a couple of words that night. So I didn't want to listen anymore with Mr. Eskridge acting so funny. Not wanting to disturb, I figured something was going on. I figured that
there would be something in it for you.
I thought if Mr. Eskridge was being blackmailed, maybe I could get a little something too.
Would you show me your bank accounts, Mr. Goodwin?
Of course. I have nothing to hide.
Pulls out his phone and shows Bogart his bank account information.
Seems to be nothing unusual. Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. I hope you've told me the absolute truth. You can go.
Goodwin leaves.
Can you call Mr. Gladden for me?
Sure.
Dr. Adams takes his phone and calls Mr. Gladden. He puts it on speaker.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Gladden. This is Beauregard. We met at Pan's Manor when you were reading the will.
Well, of course, Mr. Beauregard. Well, what can I do for you?
Did you happen to tend to the finances for the Meeks as well?
Yes, I did.
I need you to look over the past year and see if there's anything strange that came up. If you could do that and give me a call back.
I don't need to call you back. There's absolutely was suspicious behavior on the part over there the last year. I had asked her several times about the various very large withdrawals made from their account.
What did she say?
She said that they were paying off some of her late husband's that had investments. They happen every month.
There's a beep. He looks at the screen and sees there's a call coming in from Chief Froth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gladden. I hope to talk to you soon.
He hands the phone back to Dr. Adams.
Hello?
Yeah, Shepard, I hate to bother you, but I need you to come to the station.
Why? What's wrong?
Nothing wrong. I think we have your mystery man, and I want to see if you can identify him.
I'm on my way.
Police station holding cell day. Chief Froth, Bogart, and Dr. Adams walk into a holding cell and sit down across from Charles Bellamy.
Gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Charles Bellamy. Doc, is this the man?
Looks similar, but I can't be sure.
What is this about? Why are you keeping me here? What do you have on me?
Okay, yeah, that's him. I recognize the voice.
Oh, you recognize my voice, do you? And what do you think you have heard it?
I met you just on the way to Pan's Manor. You asked me for directions.
I did I?
Oh, so you admit it.
I don't admit to anything, not until you tell me why I am here.
Have you not heard about a murder at Pan's Manor?
Yeah, I heard about that, but that has nothing to do with me.
You were there that night, correct?
How do you know I was there?
By this.
Bogart puts the stuffed bullet on the table, and Charles' eyes widen.
You left this behind.
Oh, since you know so much, what time was the old man murdered?
I will let the chief answer that.
Between 9:45 and 10.
Exactly what the news said. I was gone from there by 9:30. I was at the Noble Elixir by 9:40. You can ask around. Several people saw me, especially that sexy waitress with the red hair.
I'll see if your story checks out. What were you doing there in the first place?
I went there to meet someone.
Who?
None of your dang business.
You need to be a little bit more respectful, son.
I hope you can respect this. I was gone from there by 9:30, so it does not matter what business I had there. You have nothing to tie me to any murder. And I'm not saying another word until I get a lawyer. I demand a lawyer.
One is on his way.
Froth, Bogart, and Dr. Adams walk outside the room. Interior police station contiguous.
Fire story, but he's lying. I don't have ourselves the blackmail, though. I do think we have ourselves the blackmail, though. Yeah, he had about give $100 on him when we picked him up. Robert must have given it to him, and he has blown half of it.
Thank you, Chief Froth. We'll be leaving now. We need to go to Pan's Manor.
We can go in my car.
Interior Chief Frost's car at night. Chief Frost's phone rings.
Tell me what news you got. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Is she sure about that? Well, in that case, start making preparations to release him. Thank you. Bye.
You're not letting Charles Bellamy go, are you?
Yes. He has a clean alibi. The waitress, without a doubt, remembers him at 9:45. Said he was a creep, and we can't hold him for being a creep.
I wouldn't do that just yet. That still doesn't prove he doesn't have anything to do with the murder.
You have to be the dumbest smart guy I know. Charles was hitting on a waitress at 9:45. Can we agree on that? And can we also agree that Robert was killed between 9:45 and 10?
I would like to agree, but I do not know that for certain.
Good God, man.
Yeah. Are you serious? We've been investigating with the impression that Robert was killed between 9:45 and 10, and now you want to change that?
No, you all have been investigating with that impression. I merely have just been investigating. I hold nothing true until it's proven.
But Savannah has stated that she spoke with him at 9:45.
And I bet you believe strippers really like you too, don't you?
John Goodwin saw her coming out of there.
Not exactly. When I made them recreate the scene, Savannah was merely touching the door handle.
I'm not following you.
That girl and her mother have had a tough go at it, recently losing their husband and father. You've heard both of them say how stingy Robert was with his money. Savannah is a very pretty girl. She longs for very pretty things. She needed a way to get them. She knows where her uncle kept that money. She snuck in and just got a little of it. As she was coming out of his wing, she heard the glasses clinking and knew someone was coming. She hurried down to the study because if anyone saw her coming from Robert's room, they would know it was her if the money was reported missing. So she acted like she was coming out of the study instead of the bedroom.
And you've known this the whole time?
No, I knew nothing, but I've had my suspicions from the beginning that Savannah had some secrets.
Is that why we're going there now?
Precisely.
Interior appearance manner, billiards room, night. Savannah and Holt are giggling in the room where Chief Beauregard and Dr. Adams walk in.
Miss Eskridge, do you mind if we have a few words with you?
Sure.
We were hoping it would be alone.
I'm sure it would be okay if Holt was here.
I can leave if I need to.
No, I want you to be here.
Do it yourself.
My dear Savannah, the other night I said everyone must come clean, and you have yet to do that.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Savannah, I don't think you were saying goodnight to your uncle at all. I think you were coming out of your uncle's bedroom with the money you had just taken.
Wait, the money?
Savannah starts crying.
Beauregard's correct. I never saw my uncle after dinner, and I did take the money. You just don't understand. He never gave us anything, and I just wanted something. I'm a thief. I can't hide that anymore. That's what brought Avery and I together. We both wanted more, and my uncle would hardly give us anything. Please don't look at me like
Savannah,
that.
look.
Oh, sorry.
You're good, good.
Please don't look at me like that. I'm still the same person. I just had a moment of weakness. I would have told the truth sooner, but I didn't want it to somehow put further blame on Avery and have a motive.
Always about Avery.
You just don't understand and never will. Yes, Chief, I did take the money. I'm an evil person and no one will ever love me.
Savannah runs outside. Everyone is standing in silence.
Chief, that money was given to me by Mr. Eskridge for special interest in my company. Savannah is being irrational and she did not take the money.
Holt, I appreciate you coming forward with this now, but no one believes that. What I do believe is that it's time to tell your secret, not to me, but to Miss Savannah. I could tell all along that you love her, and it seems like you have loved her for some time.
Yeah, but her and Avery,
Her and Avery are nothing, a means to an end. They both needed money from Robert, and this was the way to get it. I've done my investigating, and with the small loan you have received from the bank, you've built quite a company. It will soon take off, and you'll be able to take care of Savannah the way she deserves.
You really think so?
You're wasting time. The woman you love and who obviously loves you is outside crying. She needs you. Go.
Holt runs outside. Through the window, they see how he reaches her, hugs her, and begins to kiss her.
Well, this changes everything.
For you, perhaps.
Yeah, okay. This is starting to come together. Charles Bellamy comes in to rob Robert and is caught and has to murder him. Avery comes in and finds the body. He assumes that we'll think he did it, so he runs, but makes the call to make sure someone finds Robert. Does that sound about right?
I need to speak with Miss Bell, Doctor. Could you get her?
Sure.
Vance Manor, Linus Bell's room, night. Dr. Adams knocks on the door and pushes it open. Linus Bell is standing there in a bra and panties.
Miss Bell? Oh, God. I'm sorry.
No need to be sorry. I think we've played this little game long enough. You see anything you like?
You don't even know how many times I've thought about this, but unfortunately, now's not the time. Beauregard needs to speak with you. But can I have a rain check?
Let me put some clothes on and I'll be down shortly.
Okay. And next time, will you wear one of your garter belts?
Honey, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't own any garter belts.
She pushes him out the door. Pan's Manor billiards room at night. Linus Bell comes walking in.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, ma'am. Charles Bellamy has been arrested.
So,
I just thought you'd want to know.
who is Charles Bellamy?
He is the mystery stranger who was at Pan's Manor the night of Robert's murder.
Really? That's interesting.
You don't have any idea why he would be here, do you?
No, I'm sorry I couldn't be more helpful.
Miss Bell tries to stand up as to leave, but Beauregard puts his hand on her shoulder and sits her back down.
That is not quite it. Mr. Bellamy has an alibi for 9:45. He was definitely at the Noble Elixir, but it turns out Robert was murdered sometime before then. And we do not know any other reason why he would be here. Then I think we have our murderer.
But Savannah said she talked to Robert at 9:45.
Savannah lied. And if you don't know of any reason why he was here, then we can consider this case closed. Gentlemen, it appears we are done. Let's get back to the station.
He didn't do it.
The men begin.
Stop. He didn't murder Robert.
How can you be so sure?
Because he came here to see me.
He come to see you because he's your son, Miss Alanis Bellamy?
Yes, he is. I had him when I was very young. He was raised by a good family, and I never let it be known that I was his mother. But a few years ago, he found out and he came looking for me. I saw that he went from a sweet boy I used to watch from afar to a troubled boy due to those damn drugs. I'm a very respected woman, and I didn't need anyone to know he was my son. That could ruin a lady like me.
Why did he come see you?
To get money, he told me he needed money or he was going to tell everyone that he was my son. He said he was coming that night, so I gave him the address and I gave him the directions to go to the boathouse. But I was worried that he might get upset if I wasn't there in time, so I went out earlier to leave him a note to tell him I would be there in 10 minutes. I didn't want anyone to see me go out, so I went out the study window. After I left the note, I came back into the study, and that's when Dr. Adams came in there.
What time did you go back out to meet him?
I went out the back door and went there about 5 after 9. I gave him all the money I had, and I told him not to come back here again. He said, "Oh, you'll be seeing a lot more of me, Mom." And then he left. I was coming back up to the house, but I saw Holt walking along the patio, so I had to sneak around to the side door.
So the day you were asking Dr. Adams about the drugs, I assume it was because of your son.
Yes, he used to be such a nice boy, and I was just hoping there was something we could do or a way to end it. Is there any way we can keep this quiet? I would prefer this to not be widely known.
We will see, Miss Bellamy, but I think I prefer Bell better. If you have told me the truth, then I see no reason why this has to get out. Have a good night, ma'am.
The men start walking out.
Miss Bell, do you need me to stay for anything?
No.
Interior Adams' house, kitchen, day. Bogart knocks on the door, and Christie lets him in.
Good morning to my favorite detectives. How are you both today?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good morning, Beauregard. Me too.
Do you want some breakfast?
No, thank you. But I will take half a cup of that fine coffee.
Christie brings him some coffee. Dr. Adams is looking in his journal.
What is that there you're reading?
Well, these are all my notes from the case. I was hoping to maybe one day turn it into a book or maybe a podcast once we're finished.
Well, I'll be. I told you I knew you had secrets as well, Dr. Adams. And I told you I would figure them out, and as promised, I have. So is that book making sense to you now?
To be honest, every time I think I have my head wrapped around something, you blow that theory out of the water.
You mind if I read it?
When I'm finished?
I would prefer to look at it now, if that's okay.
See why not?
He hands Bogart the notebook.
Thank you. And I'd like you to do me a favor as well.
Sure. What's that?
I'd like you to set me up another little reunion at Pan's Manor for tonight at 7. Could you do that?
Sure, but why couldn't you do it?
I have a prior engagement, and I don't want anyone asking what it is about, and all that nonsense. And as a matter of fact, I need to be getting to that engagement right now. Why don't we walk down together tonight?
Sure.
Bogart leaves and takes Dr. Adams' journal. Exterior Pan's Manor, front door, night. Dr. Adams and Bogart are walking toward the door.
So is this going to be another one of your magic tricks tonight?
No, this will be something completely different. Oh, and here's your journal. That is some excellent work, my friend. You were very meticulous and even made me catch some things I didn't the first time around. But let me ask, why are you not mentioned in the journal more? You talk a lot about me, but why did you leave yourself out? You had so much more to do with this than in this journal. I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, I was just reporting everything I saw. You were the main character. I didn't think I was important.
I know what you were doing, and I understand. Well, I guess it's time.
They reach the door, and Godwin lets them in. Interior Pan's Manor, billiards room, night. Savannah, Jane, Goodwin, Harrison, Holt, and Miss Bell are all sitting around chatting when Bogart and Dr. Adams walk into the room.
Good evening, and thank you all for joining me. As far as my investigating goes, I have found that each and every one of you had the opportunity to kill Mr. Eskridge. Some had more of a motive than others. but I look at you all as suspects. I want to thank all of you who came forward and told your secrets. Even though you thought it was merely nothing, it pieced everything together for me. I have to admit, I have kept secrets as well. I have known a lot more than I have let on this whole time.
Calloway Bowling walks into the room.
What are you doing here? I thought you would have already been long gone by now.
Well, Beauregard asked.
She has every right to be here as well.
Hey, I thought she was just fired or quit or whatever.
That may have been the case as far as her employment goes, but the lady of the house always has a place here.
What do you mean, lady of the house?
I would like to introduce you all to Mrs. Avery Livingston.
Everyone reacts, shocked.
What are you saying? She was my boss this whole time?
Last couple of months, yes. Oh, and here's your ring. You must have dropped it.
He hands Calloway her ring.
But Avery was engaged to Savannah.
Merely a means to an end. Neither of us loved each other. We were just trying to make Uncle happy. But I'm so happy for you, Calloway.
What else have you not told us?
Everything. I have not told you how the events of that night unfolded.
Well, tell us.
When I first arrived to Pan's Manor, I noticed a few things that interested me. I just felt that boathouse played a role in this whole thing. Dr. Adams and I searched it and found a garter and a snuff bullet. The snuff bullet is something kids put cocaine in to make it easy to snort.
Was that Avery's? I know the boy liked to party.
No, it was not. It was our mysterious strangers that Dr. Adams saw that night.
So this stranger is the killer?
Wrong again. He was merely meeting someone at the boathouse.
Who?
He's my son. I've been trying to keep it quiet, and he wasn't going to keep quiet unless I gave him money.
Ah, and that was your garter there as well.
Oh, why does everyone assume that I would be wearing garters? I do not wear garters, and I know my son did not kill Robert.
Well, whose garter is it?
Avery Livingston walks in, surprising everyone.
That is Calloway's, and she looked darn fine in them.
Oh,
Everyone
where have you been?
That leads me to another secret, this one kept by Dr. Adams. Care to share, Doctor?
It's true. When I learned about Mr. Eskridge's murder, I thought it would be best to help hide Avery until this whole craziness blew over.
I agreed, because I was worried that everyone would suspect me when they found out about my marriage.
Were you hiding at Shepard's house this whole time?
No, he would have definitely been found. I asked myself where I would hide him if I was Dr. Adams. I then fabricated a nephew that was an addict. I then asked his sister, where does Dr. Adams send patients like that? This morning, I picked up Avery from the rehab facility in Oxford.
Shepard was great about all this. He's doing what he and I thought best for me, but when Beauregard got me, I realized it just made me look so much more suspicious.
Well, do you know who the actual killer is?
Beauregard's phone rings and he picks it up.
Hello, Chief Froth. You did? And? Makes complete sense. Thank you, and I will be speaking with you again in the morning. Yes, I do. And they are in this room. I wanted to give the killer an opportunity to confess before the truth goes to Chief Froth in the morning.
He pauses. No one says anything.
To yourself. I will be at my house if any of you have something to tell me.
Exterior, Pan's Manor, gates, night. Beauregard and Dr. Adams walk side by side.
I really underestimated you.
I suppose you did. What do you think of it all?
I think you held a meeting tonight to show some information and get someone uneasy, everyone uneasy, and then hope that the actual killer would make a confession.
That would be a clever idea, but no.
Or maybe you thought by sharing the information that the killer would come and try to silence you, just like they did Robert.
A trap. That would make a lot of sense, but I would rather not risk my own life.
Then why would you give the killer time to possibly escape?
He cannot escape. There is only one way out, and that does not involve freedom.
So who did it?
Let me walk you through what I know of that evening. Two things kept bothering me this whole investigation. The phone call to you set everything in motion. Now I asked myself, if Avery was the killer, then the phone call was meaningless and absurd. So I said, Avery was not the killer. Then I found out the call was not placed from the house, so it must have been an accomplice. And I thought, why would the call be made in the first place? Why did the body need to be discovered that night instead of the morning? My only thought is the killer wanted to be around when the body was actually found. Then there was the chair that was pulled out that everyone thought was meaningless. On the table by that chair were a few books and magazines that weren't visible when you first walked in due to the chair being pulled out. I thought, what if the killer hid something in plain sight there? I didn't know what that might have been, but it was something obviously the killer could not take with him, and it is something that needed to be removed as soon as the body was discovered. That brings me to why I am in Arcadia Village in the first place. We all know Robert had a love of true crime podcasts. He offered to put me up here for a while if I helped him with his podcast. And how was he recording those podcasts? His laptop.
So you're saying that it was a recording of Robert being played on his computer instead of Robert actually talking?
That is exactly what I am saying. And if that laptop had been discovered, everyone would have known it was a recording, not really Robert. It really piqued my interest when Harrison mentioned it being out of place.
So that means
Robert was already dead at 9:30 when Harrison heard him speaking.
So Avery must have made sure he had an alibi with Calloway in the boathouse. It's obvious now. His footsteps are outside the window.
Well, that, or someone who really wanted to put the suspicion on Avery. Hear me out, and this is what I know now.
Again, flashback. Exterior wooded area, night, flashback. Christy watching the two people in the woods.
The two people your sister saw in the woods that day were Avery and Calloway. Calloway had gotten upset when it came out that Avery and Savannah were engaged.
Pan's Manor, Gardens, night, flashback. Calloway throws a ring in the fountain.
She threw her ring in the fountain. They were meeting in the woods to set up their meeting in the boathouse.
Exterior boathouse, night, flashback. Miss Bell places a note on the boathouse.
Fast forward to that night. Miss Bell had left the note in the boathouse and was returning to the house through the window.
She tries to return, but Jane appears.
This was interrupted by Jane Eskridge's snooping.
Pan's Manor, study, night, flashback. Miss Bell comes in through the window. Dr. Adams enters the study and sees her.
You came in and caught Miss Bell sneaking back inside.
Pan's Manor, Gardens, night, flashback. Calloway walks outside, trying to find the ring in the dark.
Everyone went to dinner afterwards except Calloway. She left to try and find her ring for her meeting later with Avery.
All night, flashback. Dr. Adams leaves the study. Godwin watches him.
After dinner, everyone saw you and Robert go into the study. John Goodwin saw you come out and leave Pan's Manor at 8:50.
Exterior Pan's Manor, the gates, night. Dr. Adams talks to the mystery man.
You see the mysterious stranger at 9.
Pan's Manor Hall, night. Godwin reaches the study door, but turns around.
Meanwhile, in the house, Goodwin goes by and hears something about blackmail, but he was startled by a sound and didn't want to get caught eavesdropping.
Exterior Pan's Manor, gardens, flashback. Bolt smokes and looks up at the study window. He sees a woman heading toward the boathouse.
Holt was outside on the patio smoking, and he heard Robert's voice. Then he saw a mysterious woman headed toward the boathouse. This was when Alanis Bell was meeting with her son, the mysterious stranger, in the boathouse.
Exterior the boathouse at night, flashback. Calloway watches Miss Bell go to the boathouse, so she leaves.
Calloway Boulain has also had a meeting planned for the boathouse, but saw Alanis Bell coming up from there, so she found another route. She planned to apologize to Avery by wearing his favorite outfit.
Interior Pan's Manor, hall, night. Harrison walks by the study, listens, and turns away.
At this time, Harrison made a pass by the study and felt like Robert was still talking to you.
Savannah sneaks down the hall and enters the bedroom.
With the coast seemingly clear, Savannah snuck into Robert's bedroom and stole the money.
Savannah walks out of the bedroom and heads toward the study door.
When she was coming out, she rushed to the study door to pretend she just came from there and not from Robert's bedroom.
Adams' house, living room, night. Dr. Adams is relaxing when the phone rings.
Shortly after, you get a call to tell you Robert was dead.
Pan's Manor, study, night. Godwin and Dr. Adams breaks down the door to see Robert dead.
You rush to the house, go inside, and y'all find Robert murdered. You tell Goodwin to call the chief.
In flashback, exterior streets, night. Dr. Adams looks at Beauregard, impressed.
Wow, that's a great scene you play there, but you forgot the main part. Who's the killer?
Come on, Shepard. You know who the killer is.
I've gone on along with your games, but I'm not following you here.
I'm sorry, Shepard. I assumed you knew that I knew who the killer was when I revealed everything else to you. If you want me to say it, then I will. The killer is you, Dr. Shepard Adams.
Have you gone mad, Beauregard?
Not at all. I suspected it for a while. I didn't understand how you left the house at 8:50, but it took you 10 minutes to get to the front gate where the mysterious stranger was. Also, the call you received had me puzzled until I reached out to all of your patients who you saw that day. Chief Froth called me a few minutes ago and told me that the boy you treated that day was supposed to visit the Noble Elixir and let you know if Avery Livingston was there at 10. Now, that was genius. What was said on that call could have only been known by you and the other person. Christie was a witness and saw you take that call. And now your alibi is intact.
Why in the world would I kill Robert?
So he wouldn't expose you as the blackmailer. This is me.
You reached Dr. Adams' house.
You are crazy, Beauregard. Thanks for the laughs. Anyway, I'm gonna head inside now. I'm gonna let you sleep off those crazy ideas. Okay.
Good night, my dear Dr. Shepard Adams. But remember, there is only one way out of this, and it doesn't involve freedom.
The men part ways, and Dr. Adams looks back at Beauregard. Beauregard's home day. Beauregard walks around in the front porch and opens a package. It's Dr. Adams' journal. Beauregard sits in his chair and flips towards the end of the book, and it begins reading.
When I first began this manuscript, I intended it to be for Beauregard's failure. Poor Robert Eskridge. I'd hoped that he would read that letter and we would come to an understanding. I'd already known that eventually he was going to find out by the way Mrs. Meek was acting. So I'd already been planning this for months. The letter from Mrs. Meek meant that I needed to do it right then.
Beauregard flips through more pages.
I had a knife ready to do the job, but then I thought the cigar knife would add an extra curtain call type ending. I honestly didn't want Avery to get charged with the crime, but I needed to focus somewhere else. I'm rather pleased in myself as a writer. I like how I can easily manipulate the story.
Begin flashback. Interior Pan's Manor study flashback. Dr. Adams leaves the study, but remains there, thoughtfully.
The letters came in about 8:40, so when I decided to take my leave, it was 10 till 9. I hesitated with my hand on the door. I looked back and wondered, was there anything else left for me to do? I put the laptop ready to loop Robert's voice. I pulled out the chair so the laptop wasn't noticeable. I grabbed a letter from Mrs. Meek and took one last look at the perfect crime scene I just created. I decided there was nothing more I could have done. So I left.
He leaves. Exterior boathouse night flashback. Dr. Adams takes a pair of boots.
I played it cool when I saw Goblin on the way out. But I had to run to the boathouse where I left a pair of Avery's boots. I thought me walking in his boots up to the window was going to be the icing on the cake.
He gets in through the window.
I crawled through the window to lock the door so the body could not be discovered by anyone but me.
Interior Pan's Manor, Avery's room, night flashback. Dr. Adams returns the boots.
Then I returned the boots.
Interior Pan's Manor, study, night flashback. Dr. Adams talks to Godwin. Robert's dead body is sitting there.
Then later, when the body was discovered, no way would I have thought anyone would have noticed the chair. I mean, there's a dead body over there. Why are you worried about a chair?
Godwin leaves the room. Dr. Adams moves the chair back.
This gave me the moment to take the laptop and put it in my medicine bag and return the chair to its normal position. It was pretty perfect. I just wish I'd known Savannah was going to say she talked with her uncle. It would have made it easier on me.
Quick shots of every person involved, talking to Beauregard at one point or another.
And everyone's little secrets went ahead and screwed up my perfect one. Well, you can't win them all. My only wish is to keep Christy in the dark on this. I trust Beauregard to handle the situation to keep many of them in the dark. Beauregard said there was only one way out. I guess it'll be fitting to go the same way that Mrs. Meek went.
In flashback. Interior Beauregard home, day. Beauregard flips to the very last page.
I curse Beauregard for being such a good detective, and most of all, I curse all these secrets of Arcadia Village.
Beauregard stands up and looks out the window as the ambulance pulls up to Dr. Adams' house. The end.